The 2022 Lowrider ST El Diablo. Let's talk about it. Alright, what's going on YouTube? FXDLS Brooklyn is back in the building. And I am not on a Lowrider ST, let alone a Lowrider ST Diablo. I am on my 2001 Dyna Super Glide Sport FXDX, a bike that is almost 2 decades older than what we're talking about in this video. But yeah, man, I'm actually back home in Brooklyn. Just got home from over a week-long bike trip of doing a bunch of moto camping, bouncing around. So I was in a bunch of situations where I did not have service. So I'm actually pretty late to the announcement of them announcing the El Diablo ST edition. So yeah, when I finally got service at some random gas station and I randomly checked Instagram and I saw that, my oh my, did I have a lot of thoughts. And I know you all have a lot of thoughts too, so I wanted to make a quick video just kind of addressing our initial reactions about Harley Davidson making this limited edition special bike, what it means going forward, and what the general reaction is. But you know how we do on this channel, if the bike ain't rolling, we ain't talking. So let's get this bike started. Let's talk about this exciting situation. Little FXDX startup for y'all. My oh my, is that nice. I'm so used to picking up my my lowrider, man, with all that weight from the RT fairing and the lowers that I forget how light this bike is. Alright, so Labor Day weekend out here in Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, like I said, I've been kind of off the grid for a week on the last bike trip I did. Challenged myself to do a bunch of moto camping. So yeah, that meant there was a lot of limited service. So yeah, like I said, woke up one morning, checked the old Instagram, and saw a bunch of people posting what looked like a FXRT, but then looking closer, it was pretty clear it was a modern Lowrider ST. And what is it? What are the selling points of this bike? Well, I think probably the number one selling point of the bike is the fact that they put that throwback red FXRT paint on there. That's probably the first thing. And then I guess the second selling point that makes that bike stand apart from, you know, the standard Lowrider ST or whatever would, I guess, be the fact that they come with the sound system. So you have that. And then the third selling point about the bike, that's probably the biggest one, is the fact that it is a limited number. It is 1,500 that have been made. So for folks who care about that type of thing and maybe collect bikes like that or want to have a really special bike like that, you know, by all means, that might be an important thing. You know, again, I'm somebody that owns probably one of the best Harley Davidsons ever made, the Dyna Lowrider S, which they only made for a year and a half. So I kind of feel like I'm in that pool of owning something that was very limited and was not made for very long. But there was definitely way more than 1,500 made, so the ST El Diablo is way more exclusive than, you know, my Dyna Lowrider S, as much as I want to try to inflate my ego for owning that bike. So yeah, here's my initial reaction to it, right? I happen to think that it is a very good move from the Great Motor Company in the year of 2022. They've had a very successful launch of the Lowrider ST. You know, I think it had a really good reaction from the performance Harley community, obviously the sport touring community, as not that that's a huge rider base, I'm definitely part of that, but I think generally it had an overall very good response from the community. So they took that, and then, you know, they also, kudos to them that they have their finger enough on the pulse to sense the revival that's happening with the FXRs right now. Even from 2 years ago, you know, from what I paid for my FXR, it's crazy to see how much those bikes have gone up in price. You know, it's just like for whatever reason, people really want an FXR for some reason in 2022. Maybe it's because it is actually the best Harley ever made. I guess the company has their finger enough on the pulse to be like, all right, people like FXRs. Let's put a little throwback FXR paint onto something modern. So they did that, and that's how you get that red El Diablo paint, that throwback to that 80s style FXRT red. You know, that I actually have a couple friends that have that exact paint, so it's close. And even if you look at the paint on my 88 FXR, the emblem is pretty similar. Yeah, I think it's a move in the right direction by the company. You know, I like the fact that, again, just like on the ST, they had their finger on the pulse with what the rider base wanted in terms of sport touring. It seems like they also have their pulse with the fact that, hey, people really like and cherish FXRs. So I like the fact that the company is clearly, you know, nodding to that rather than just kind of looking in the other direction, which is what I felt like they've kind of done in the past, and just not kind of acknowledging what's really happening in terms of the performance Harley-Davidson community. Me personally, if I were in the market for a new bike and it were my main bike, I would probably buy that bike just for the fact that it is so limited. Again, everyone that I've talked to, you know, I put the poll up on my Instagram just to get the general sense of what the community felt about this announcement. 87% of the people gave it a yes, you know, 13% gave it a no. That's pretty good, you know, in terms of a Dyna FXR performance community. So, from my following, people gave it a pretty good response. I am right now giving it a pretty good initial response. The drawback, right? Because obviously there are drawbacks. The first drawback is the obvious one, the price tag, right? We're talking up to 30 G's for you to go ahead and cop one of these bikes, right? And what are we throwing down 30 G's for? Well, it's the three things that I just listed: the limited availability, the paint, and the sound system. So, again, I would probably, if I were in the market for a new bike, I would probably throw down the extra money just to have it and have something special. That's just me. But then there's also a part of me where it's like, okay, me personally, I don't run sound systems in any of my bikes. To me, that's just added and wasted weight, you know? My Lexan G16 does everything I need it to do in terms of listening to music and navigation, so I'm just not I'm not a sound system guy. So for me, that would kind of be wasted. Honestly, I would probably like pick it up and probably take it off the bike depending on how much weight it would use. I wouldn't use it personally. I would still be using my Lexan unit. That would be a waste on me. So me personally, I would pretty much be paying to have a really cool paint job that throws back to an FXR, as well as that limited availability that you just know in like 20 or 30 years is only going to go up in value, right? My Lowrider S has not gone down in value, I'll tell you that. People are still paying what I paid new for that bike with bikes that have plenty of miles on them. So when Harley drops a really good bike and it is limited, again, don't expect it to go down in value. But again, like I said, in terms of if I were to be buying one, if I were in the market for a new bike, there's also a part of me that, again, I would realistically, if I got over the initial hype of the announcement and all that, being realistic, I would actually probably just buy a standard Lowrider ST 2022, and then I would take the difference of the money that I would be spending to get the El Diablo. You know, more realistically, if I really sat on it and I really thought about what would make the most sense if we're throwing down money, I would probably buy the 2022 Lowrider ST. I would buy one new, and then I would take that additional money that I would have been throwing down on the El Diablo, and then there's a couple different things you could do. You could do all the cool guy upgrades, right? You could get your step-up seat, you could get your exhaust, you could get your bars. You know, that's pretty much as far as you really need to go with that bike. You could do that. Or, I think what would be really cool, and again, this is from somebody who has gone through the process of doing a fully customized paint job on a bike, I would take that additional money and I would just do a custom paint job, you know? that I would want to do. And maybe that's going to look like FXR paint. Maybe that's going to look like something completely different, like white and black and gold flames, which is what I did. But again, you know, you could, at that point, I'll tell you, like, price range wise, you know, for me, going with one of probably the best painters in the game, Fast Life Garage, you can get like Jace from Fast Life, or you could get Roy from Trip 6 Customs to paint you a 2022 Lowrider ST, and even then probably save some money than what you would have been paying if you did buy the El Diablo, right? But again, what's going to be more sought after in 20 years, what's going to be more iconic, I can't tell you, right? I kind of like, with this, I kind of think to those 100-year anniversary super glides and lowriders that I see a lot of the stunt riders on, or I just see a lot on the Dyna Instagram pages where you got the two-tone black and silver. Those are really iconic bikes. Like, people still really want those, you know? So, I don't know, man. I think, again, a lot of it is going to come down to the iconic limited edition special release type situation for Harley Davidson, and I think that's probably a lot what you're going to be paying for. Yeah, I thought I had my ideas collected enough to make a video that somewhat made sense, but apparently not. I'm actually still thinking about it, grappling with, you know, if I were in the position to buy a new bike, what I would actually do now the more that I think about it. So yeah, that's the two pools of thought that I'm in right now. It's either going down, throwing down that 30 grand for that new El Diablo, assuming you could find one, because I'm assuming by the time I made this video, they're probably got plenty of deposits laid down, plenty of people lined up to buy that bike. I do think they're gonna sell out quickly. So, you know, do you do that? Do you throw down the 30 grand for that? Or do you buy the stock new Lowrider ST and take the additional money and either do a custom paint job or just take it to do all the cool guy upgrades that you gotta do, right? I don't know, man. It's that's a hard call. But that's it. Y'all let me know in the comments below. What would you do? I do have a fair amount of followers and subscribers that have told me that they are considering laying down a deposit on the El Diablo. So y'all let me know what you're thinking. I'm always curious to hear from you all, you know? But that's my thoughts on it. As always, whether you are going in on some crazy limited bike like the El Diablo, or whether you are buying yourself a stock Lowrider ST, or whether you're like me and you're not doing either of those things, stay safe out there and stay low. Practice a positive mental attitude. Outride your demons. Ride motorcycles in New York City. And on that, FXCLS Brooklyn is out.